They say silence is weakness, but sometimes silence is survival. In a town that looked the other way, one boy endured bullying, isolation, and fear until the day a dog, a father, and a single video changed everything. This isn't just a story about injustice. It's about standing your ground without raising your voice. And what happens when the world is finally forced to listen? Jamal Brown had long ago made peace with being unseen. In the quiet Georgia suburb where he lived, that was the safest choice. A gifted artist with eyes too observant for his age. He spent most days sketching what he could not say. His mother's smile from memory, a rusted chain-link fence, the way silence looked when it settled between people. Jamal didn't talk much. He didn't fight. And he certainly didn't fit. He lived with his father, Robert, a Marine-turned-mechanic with hands like iron and eyes that missed nothing. Their house was modest, tucked behind a yard overgrown at the edges, but full of quiet care. And then there was Diesel, their Cane Corso, over 100 pounds of sheer muscle, but trained with the calm discipline of a soldier. Diesel didn't bark without reason. He watched. He waited. He protected. At school, Jamal was a shadow, the kind of kid teachers forgot to call on, but some didn't forget. Griffin, Wyatt, and Chad boys who treated cruelty like a hobby noticed him every day. Jamal didn't need to do anything to provoke them. His quiet made them louder. His talent made them meaner. His skin made him a target. They shoved him in hallways, called him names in whispers, then laughed loud enough for others to hear. Teachers turned away. The principal offered the usual, "We'll look into it." They never did. Jamal never complained. He carried his bruises like badges of survival. But one afternoon, everything changed. He was only yards from home when the boys jumped him. They'd followed him off school property, just far enough that no one was watching. Jamal tried to walk faster. Griffin shoved him. Wyatt tripped him. Chad stood laughing, phone in hand, as Jamal hit the ground. Knees scraped and books scattered. They surrounded him. Griffin raised his fist, ready to strike again. Then a deep, guttural growl split the air. Diesel had broken through the fence. He didn't bark. He didn't charge. He didn't bite. He simply walked forward and stood over Jamal's body, unmoving, a wall of muscle. Breath low and steady. Eyes fixed on the boys. Griffin froze. Wyatt took a step back. Chad cursed under his breath. Camera still recording. Then they ran. Robert didn't say much that night. He didn't have to. He'd seen the blood, the silence in Jamal's shoulders. Without a word, he walked to the garage and came back with 2 pairs of old boxing gloves. "Let's train," he said. At first, Jamal moved like he was afraid to take up space. But Robert was patient. He taught him footwork, breathing, center of gravity, not to hurt anyone, to know where his strength lived, to stop apologizing for existing. The bullying didn't stop, but it changed. The boys kept their distance, watched him across the cafeteria, whispered, waited. The silence felt heavier now. Then, the escalation came. It was a Friday, cloudy sky. Jamal was walking home, head down, earbuds in, when they struck, from behind, hard, fast, angrier than before. They weren't filming this time. They were trying to finish something. Jamal fell, kicked back, blocked what he could, but there were too many of them. Then again, the growl, and a voice, "Hey, Robert." Jamal blinked through blood and mud and saw Diesel leap the fence. This time, Diesel did growl deep and terrifying. He stood between Jamal and the boys, teeth bared but unmoving. Robert held up a phone. "Filming." Griffin tried to bluster. "He's dangerous." Robert said nothing. The boys backed off, unsure what had just happened. By nightfall, the video was online. By morning, it had gone viral. It wasn't just the footage, though. It was powerful. A massive dog protecting a wounded teen. A father recording in grim silence. It was the context. The caption Robert posted with it, "My son has been bullied for 2 years. The school did nothing. Now everyone will see." The internet exploded. Veterans reposted, civil rights groups reached out, celebrities shared it. Hashtag justice for Jamal trended. Messages flooded in teachers, students, even former bullies, all saying the same thing: we see you. But not everyone was cheering. The families of the boys filed complaints. They claimed Diesel was a threat, that the video was edited, that Jamal instigated the fight. Then came the legal threat. They filed a motion demanding Diesel be removed from the property as a public safety hazard. Robert and Jamal didn't flinch. They went public with everything: photos of Jamal's bruises, ignored emails to the school, medical reports. They named the administration, the silence, the complicity. A hearing was called. Local news filled the courtroom. Jamal sat in a clean white shirt beside Diesel. Robert stood beside them, calm, unreadable. The judge reviewed the footage, paused it, replayed it, zoomed in, watched frame by frame. Diesel never lunged, never bit, never crossed the line. But the boys did. After 30 minutes, the judge looked up. This court sees no evidence of aggression. What we do see, she said slowly, is a trained protection dog doing exactly what he was raised to do: guard and defend a child from immediate harm. The case was dismissed. The school launched a review. The boys were expelled and enrolled in a restorative justice program led by a local group of black veterans. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, Jamal was invited to speak on a youth mental health panel. At first, he refused. Speaking had never been his way. But when a local student group asked if Diesel could come visit for a therapy session, something clicked. This wasn't about ego. This was about every kid who sat in silence, who walked home afraid, who learned to draw instead of scream. Jamal agreed on one condition: he would speak. At the panel, he stood up. Diesel lay beside him. "I didn't ask to be seen," Jamal said, "but I won't hide anymore." The room was quiet, not from disinterest, from respect. The next week, Jamal walked through the school hallway, where it all began. Griffin was gone. Wyatt's locker was empty. Chad wouldn't meet his eyes. But Jamal held his head high. Teachers greeted him. Students nodded. A girl from his art class asked if he'd help design a mural. He said he'd think about it. Outside, Diesel waited, tail still, eyes steady. And in that moment, Jamal knew he wasn't just protected. He was known, not as a victim, but as someone who had survived, stood still, and changed everything without ever throwing a punch. And Diesel, the dog, who never had to bite, walked beside him, not as a hero, but as a reminder that some protectors don't need to roar, they just need to be seen.